When I first start hand pollinating, I got together what's called a hybridizing box, and this is really good because it's a lightweight cardboard box. It's actually from an old, I had vases in here. It's an old box that had vases stored in it. I really like it because it has these little compartments. So these empty compartments are great for things, and the jewelry tags and all that. So I'll go through this a little bit. So the important things to have in your hybridizing box are a bunch of clean brushes, and these range in size from size 1 to size 6. If you're a paintbrush person, that means these are the 6s and these are the ones, the little ones. I just like a variety of sizes of paintbrushes. So when I use them, these are all clean. They've been washed in water and put in here after I'm done using them. The dirty brushes, so while I'm hybridizing and I get a dirty brush, which we'll talk about a little later, that goes in here, and then at the end of my hybridizing session I wash that out. It's good to have at least one pencil here. The other things that are important are these empty envelopes with a thumb holder, and I've made these out of a legal size envelope. So you cut it in half, you pull up this edge and tape it, and the reason it's taped is because the pollen can fall out if you don't tape it. And then I like putting a thumb hold in here because if it gets windy like it is today, see, you could dump your pollen really easily, but if it's on your thumb, it's easy to kind of keep a hold of it. The other thing that I like to have in my hybridizing box are these organza bags, and the reason I keep them in here, even though I'm going to be crossing dahlias, if I see something that I want to cover, I just have it right here and I don't have to run back into the house. And the last thing that you want to get or purchase, I use paper jewelry tags. They're pretty big. They're probably an inch and a half by an inch or so, and this is what you're going to write your cross on. So if you're hand crossing, you write the parent on the top. So if I was hand crossing, you write the parent here on the top, and then you go times, and then the other pollen parent on the bottom. So this is going to be the seed parent here times the pollen parent. And so anyway, this is what you're going to want to do when you're out in the field. So it's good to have these jewelry tags. And the other thing I like to do with my box is I found out over the years it's nice to have little handles in here. I just cut these out pretty just basic handles so that it's easy to pick this up. Otherwise you're having to pick it up from the bottom. So those are my little tips for my hybridizing box. I bring my hybridizing box out into the field with me in case I need any of these items. So a light box like that is easy to put on the ground. I start out with on the envelope with the thumb holder, which is going to store the pollen. It is written the name of the one that I'm taking the pollen from and the date, because pollen can be kept for quite a while, like 3 days in this envelope. So if I need to use it again for another cross, I'll have some extra pollen. So let's go here to this bloom. So this bloom has been covered up with an organza bag for probably almost a week. So I covered it when it was in this stage here, and then in the organza bag it just kept opening and opening and opening until now it's to the point where there's lots of pollen on it. And the organza bags have been here to protect it so that the bees can't visit it, so that I know exactly what cross is going to come to this particular seedling. So you might have noticed that I've removed some of the petals off the back side of my bloom, and I do this pretty regularly. When you do that, you want to hold onto the bracts. The bracts are these little green things here, and you just kind of pull the petals off. And I'm doing that one for a couple reasons. One, it makes it easier to put it in the organza bag. It makes it less wet, and you want to keep your pollen and this whole area as dry as possible. Petals kind of give you a lot of moisture. So what I'm going to do is, once I see that the pollen is ready, and you can tell when the pollen is ready when you stroke it, and you can see on the end of my paintbrush there, it's just sticking nicely to the paintbrush, then I know that this pollen is ready to be harvested. Also, I don't harvest first thing in the morning or late in the evening when we might have some fog or dampness, you want to kind of watch for the bees and see when the bees are out doing their pollination, and that's a good time for you to go out and then take pollen. So all I'm going to do is just stroke this pollen like this, and you can see it's falling out into that petal there. So I'm stroking it and getting it kind of loose and off these areas on the plant. So I'm going to then kind of knock it, and hoping that all this pollen will fall. There's a little bit stuck on that petal there, into the envelope. So you can see how much pollen is in the envelope there. Now those are pollen clusters. That's a lot of pollen. An individual pollen is very, very tiny. So I might come back a second time and kind of stroke it like this. When you stroke this part of the flower, you get a lot of pollen kind of pushing again. So once we do that, and I've taken pollen, again, I right away cover this up, because if a bee comes by and puts some pollen on it, it won't be the cross I want. So next I go to the variety that I want to cross with the one I just took pollen from. And I take pollen from this, because I'm going to take pollen from this and cross it over to the one I just took pollen from, and the one I just took pollen from I'm going to put pollen onto this one. It's good to do back and forth on them. So this one here, again, I'm going to stroke like this, and you can see pollen falling onto the petals there. And again, just knock and get pollen into here. So the next thing I'm going to do after that is I'm going to mark the name of the cross here. So this is a seedling, and I'm going to store this in my little compartment there so that the wind doesn't blow it. Next, I'm going to take the pollen that I just took off of the other one that we saw a few minutes ago, and you can see the pollen here in the back. See, I didn't have my thumb in there. Good to have the thumb. So I have my thumb in there in case it falls, and then I just take some pollen onto the paintbrush like this. And what I'm going to do is try to paint it between the stigma here. So pollen comes off the anthers, and once the anthers push pollen, then they push out the stigma after that. It turns into like the stigma after that. So I'm just brushing pollen, taking some from the envelope here, and trying to brush it in the Y of the stigma. So I'm just going around like that, doing that. It just literally takes one tiny grain of pollen for this to be fully pollinated. So that's pretty good right there. So next I'm going to do is I put that back in the box there, is I'm going to take my tag. So this is this one here. So this is this one times the one I just took pollen from. I put my jewelry tag around it like that. And next I put my hybridizing bag over it again. And now not only do I know what cross I did, so tomorrow when I come back I can do the same cross. It'll say it right here. I'm going to now walk back to the one we took pollen from originally and do the opposite cross. So let's go back. Now we're back at the first flower that we took pollen from, and now I'm going to pollinate the second flower's pollen onto this one. So I'm just going to take some pollen again, dip it into here, take some pollen and place it on the stigma here. Just really painting it right in the middle of the Y. Not on the back side, but on the front side of the Y. And once that's done, I place the tag of my cross right here. And again, I put over my organza bag right away. And the reason I also tuck my tags into the organza bags, and the reason for that is we have slugs and snails and they like to eat paper, and so that can be a problem. So I'm hoping in the next 2 days that I can come back and do this same cross over and over on it. The stigma open up in a kind of a spiral like we talked about, and so the outer ones are more mature and the inner ones are immature, and as they mature over the next couple days I'm hoping to get some pollen on them. Hope that helps.